welcome up contestant number 9. Josh Welch, boys versus bees. Boys versus bees, Josh Welch.
In the summer of my 6th year, I had a rather significant change thrust upon me. My dad, whom we'll henceforth refer to as the old man, literally bought the farm. And I went from being a town kid to being a country kid. I didn't realize it at the time, but that move out to the country would open up for me a wealth of experiences and opportunities that most folks simply don't get to have these days. One of those experiences is something I like to call boys versus bees. It was a particularly hot and dry summer that year. The kind of hot that grandparents are thinking of when they talk about how easy the kids have it these days. The kind of hot where the ice cream evaporates right out of the cone before you even get a chance to lick it. The kind of hot where you try to fry an egg on the sidewalk and you overcook the thing. It was hot. It was hot enough the old man decided to let the cattle in the feedlot have access to a chunk of land that butts up against the lot. A chunk of land my brother and I called the swamp. The swamp was an expanse of gently rolling flatland nestled between two wooded hills. We called it the swamp due to its propensity to flood each year in the spring thaw. By this time of year, however, in that hot, dry summer, the swamp had been transformed into an expanse of hardened, dry dirt, marked by nothing much of interest, except for a pile of wood. The wood had come down from the hillside the previous spring thaw, and been stacked up by my brother and I for one of the many chores the old man came up with us to try to keep us out of mischief in the summer. Well, on this particular day, the cattle were roaming the hillside in search of shade. My brother and I were roaming the swamp in search of something interesting to do, as young boys did back in those hot summer days before there was the internet. And as we were walking along, all of a sudden, I was buzzed while I could only assume it was a horribly off-course World War II fighter plane. My brother, being the older and more outdoor savvy of the two of us, quickly corrected my identification and let out the customary warning. Bees! Sure enough, we were being set upon by a swarm of bees of the size and bad temperament normally reserved for chihuahuas. Faced with a classic fight or flight scenario, my brother and I took the better part of valor and beat a hasty retreat out of the swamp, through the feedlot, to the machine shed. There, we took a moment to assess the situation and come up with a plan. Return to the swamp, kill the bees. It was a plan which lacked sophistication, but had a number of elements that young boys liked. It was simple, it was direct, and it maintained the possibility of destruction. With the plan in mind, my brother and I returned to the scene of the attack, stealthily creeping through the feedlot to the border of the swamp, where we took up an observation post. And what did our eyes reveal to us? But the woodpile. The woodpile that my brother and I had worked so hard to stack up earlier that summer. The woodpile had become an enemy encampment. The black and yellow demons buzzed angrily around it. It hummed like an overloaded electrical transformer on that hot summer day. My brother and I exchanged a glance, and we knew we were not equipped for this. So we returned once again to the machine shed. We dug through piles and boxes. We came up with heavy winter coats, wool hats, gloves, scarves, and a couple of fashionable pair of safety goggles. Our suits of armor formed. We felt the defensive position was strong, and our mind turned to offense, which is where it gets interesting. You see, for two young boys unleashed in a fully functioning farm, the possibility of destructive implements is nearly endless. Hammer? No. Hacksaw? No. Axe? Maybe. Shotgun shells? No, Mom will hear. Well, we settled upon a large steel spear intended to be fastened in a tractor to move hay bales from point to point. It was a hefty piece of steel and required the two of us to lift it. And as we were to find out, a weapon like that, you only get one shot. It impaled itself into the wood pile with a satisfying thump that failed to deliver the killer blow we were looking for against our foe. We returned to the machine shed at a rather rapid pace, looking for another weapon, something with a bit more fire. We were looking for butt spray, came up with nothing. We did, however, find a can of WD-40 that seemed to have impressive range. The second foray against the bees was not much more successful than the first. We returned once again to the machine shed, once again at a rather rapid pace, sporting some fresh bee stings and a rather wounded sense of pride. We searched for the weapon that would be our master stroke against our foe. And we found it. We found it in the form of, let me just take a moment and say, do not try this at home. We found it in the form of the gas barrel. You see, farms have tractors. Tractors need gas. There's not generally a conveniently located gas station, so you have a gas barrel. Fill up the tractor. Or a mason jar if you have a particularly thorny pest control problem. Well, my brother and I set out for the gas barrel. And on our way, an intervention. Guided, as if by a hand from above, the old man's pickup pulled in. What are you up to, boys? Well, my brother and I, we stand there under the hot July sun, our heavy winter coats, our wool hats, scarves, gloves, fashionable seat. Oh, nothing, Dad. That wasn't the first time we were nearly diverted from disaster on the farm. It certainly wouldn't be the last. But it's one of the times I remember best. Mr. Gopher.